All right, so hi everyone. My name is Christina Ciari. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Director of Membership and Communications at the Mountaineers. I've been here for 11 years, if you can believe it,
Yeah.
and this is definitely my dream job. We'll talk about that in a few more minutes, but I love being part of the community, connecting folks to the power of outdoor recreation and to each other. So excited. Thank you all for being here today. And I'll just invite you again to please go ahead and turn on your video if you're comfortable with that. The point is to meet the Mountaineers. We're going to be doing some introductions in a moment, so invite you to go ahead and do that. All right, so if this is your first Zoom call, I want to know the secret to your life. I'm very impressed that it's your first Zoom call, but in case it is, you can see the buttons along the bottom that let you mute your microphone, turn off video, and turn on video, ask questions using the reactions feature. You can raise your hand. So this is actually our first test of the day. If you have any, everyone please, right now, raise your hand. Okay, Josh, you are the winner of this challenge. Angie, she clapped. Thank you. All right. Okay, good. Lots of hand raising. Excellent. Excellent work. Okay, now test number 2. Put your hand down. Let's see how we do there. All right. So I've learned I'm not capable of monitoring the chat while we're doing this. So please just raise your hand if you have a question and we'll answer it that way. All right, next up, if you want to change your name, you go to the participants field over here. There's the 3 dots on the bottom, et cetera, et cetera. And then if you're tired of seeing my face, you can minimize it here. You can see more participants here. I recommend you minimize it just so you can see the full screen, but totally up to you. All right, so welcome to Meet the Mountaineers. As I said, Director of Membership and Communications at the Mountaineers. And I want to give some special thanks to, we have 4 volunteers who are here tonight to help provide insights and information into the Mountaineers, who we are, what we do. So I'd like to invite each of them to introduce themselves. So Christina, please go ahead and tell us who you are, what you do, and how you got involved.
Hi, all. Welcome. Yes, my name is Christina, and I have been a Mountaineers member since 2012. Didn't get really super involved until around 2016. Started hiking. I've taken the B3 backpacking course, conditioning hiking series, snowshoeing course. I now am in the 4th year. I co-created a beginning hiking course for the Foothills Hiking Committee. And we are in our successful 4th year of that. And I have just been voted in as as of January, of the new Foothills Backpacking Committee Chair. And I love backpacking so much. It's my first love for my outdoor recreation. I love this organization. It is with such a passion that I'm here and to express. I'm so glad you're here, and I hope you get a lot out of it.
Awesome. Thanks, Christina. And we'll talk more about our branches in a little bit, but for folks who don't know, our Foothills branch is kind of the I-5, I-405 corridor on what folks would generally consider like the east side of Seattle. Scott, please introduce yourself.
My name is Scott Giselle. I am the outdoor chair for Tacoma branch. I'm a climb leader, scramble leader, backpack leader, and so forth. And I hope that I do too many things in the Mountaineers, and as you could do yourself. So I'm just stoked to be getting you out there. Hopefully encourage you to get out there and get involved with the rest of us crazy people on the screen.
Awesome. Great. And Natalia Simmons, are you here?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Hi everyone. So I'm Natalia. People call me Nat. I accidentally found Mountaineers from a guy I was on a date with. And just kind of rock climbing that brought me in. And then everybody in the rock climbing course was like, "What are you doing next?" And I'm like, "There is next? I didn't know there was next. I didn't prepare." But we all applied to basic alpine course, climbing course. And from there, it became like a completely different adventure because you then meet friends. Like it expands, like this club expands your horizons, because now I had rock climbing friends, then I had climbing friends that you build special relationships and do all the climbs together. And then some of them learned like trail running, and now you're into trail running, and now you're doing global adventures and scrambling. And I kind of went top down, starting from alpine course, climbing course, down to like, oh, there's scrambling. Oh my gosh, there's backpacking and hiking. So I lead alpine. I'm an alpine scrambling lead. I'm almost global adventure lead. I can lead rope on a glacier climb. I am a trail running leader, and I'm also a co-chair for the trail running committee that we started ourselves 6 years ago from nothing. It's actually very unique to the Foothills branch. This is the only committee that we have. Yeah, and I also host at the Baker Lodge. So very fun adventures.
Awesome, Nat. We're very happy to have you here.
Thank you.
I'd love to invite Dawn to introduce herself first, and then we'll have Karen hop in, bring us home.
Hey, so I'm Dawn Coral, and I'm actually substituting for our chair, Lynn Groff, who is down in Southern California looking at the wonderful desert plants down there. I've been in the Mountaineers for just a few years, but it kind of immediately got sucked into the naturalist group because I've always had an interest in that, and they were the kind of hikes that I really enjoyed doing a lot. And now I'm secretary of that group, and so I've gotten very involved in the introduction to the natural world course, which is coming up very soon. Actually, we have, I think there's still 12 slots left in that course, and it usually fills up. So I'm pretty sure that we'll be full. The cutoff for that is the 20th of March. And it's gotten a lot of good press from our prior people, and a lot of times people have taken the course then become naturalist leaders themselves or help with field trips and that kind of thing. So it's a great intro into those that like a slightly slower pace than what some of my colleagues were talking about today. So we also do lots of hikes. So I help out with the hike committee. Like I just checked right now, there's 24 naturalist hikes that are listed for the next couple of months. So there's lots and lots of ways to get into the naturalist hikes, and we don't require prerequisites for those hikes, so anybody can join them. There's not a prerequisite. So anyway, it's just been a great experience for me to be part of this group and to have this additional community, particularly when COVID hit and we just needed each other more.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, thanks, Dawn. Go ahead, Karen.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. I'm glad you all showed up. I've been with the Mountaineers since 2016, and I too lead and participate in as many activities as possible just because it's fun. And now that I'm in my 8th year, I realized that joining the Mountaineers was probably one of my best life choices because I've met all sorts of really neat people and I've gone to amazing places. And it even, with my volunteerism, it even got me a really cool guiding job at REI for about a year. So that was really neat to do. And I wouldn't have done that without being part of the Mountaineers. So I recommend it too. 2 thumbs up.
Awesome. Thanks, Karen. Well, normally what I do now is I put folks in a breakout rooms, but since we actually have a smaller group, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. I should have done that sooner. And invite other folks who are here to introduce yourselves. And I'll just go through based on who I see in my screen. So we'd love to kind of hear from you and, what brought you here today, what you're most interested in. So Josh and then Veronica.
Hi, I'm Josh. Excuse me. Let's see. Got into Boy Scouts as a kid, trying to get back into the backpacking and hiking and all that good jazz. So found Mountaineers and just moved here from Texas and looking forward to getting involved.
Awesome. Welcome. We have a lot of folks who move here from out of town. I'm originally from Montana. I think when I do this in person, probably about half of the folks in the room are not sort of local to the Pacific Northwest originally. So Veronica and then Amy.
So Josh and I are married.
Oh,
And We joined together on the, I guess, like the household count or something like that. Anyway, so yeah, we just moved from Texas to the Washington state area. Well, Washington state. We both work in IT, so we're not really like exposed to a whole lot of other humans. And we work from home, so pardon us for being a little bit socially awkward, but yeah, I think it's all about being a little bit more active. We're now used to living here, so we've been here since last summer. And now we're looking to broaden our horizons and get out into nature and start doing things. We've started buying our backpacking gear and we've started going on hikes. We've got a lot of Mountaineer books and finding new trails. And this was the next logical step. So
Great.
there you go.
Welcome. Amy, go ahead. Then Angie, then Fiona.
Okay, yeah. So I don't live in Washington yet, but I'm considering a move pretty heavily. And I just kind of want to get a jump on this season if I'm going to be out there. And I know it takes a lot of planning. So I don't know a ton of people in Seattle area, but there's a lot I want to do. So I figured meeting people through this group and gaining more skills would be great. I've done some backpacking. I want to do more, but I'm not at the level of doing it by myself. So definitely looking for peers.
Awesome. You came to the right place. Not that you're here yet, but when you're here, it will be the right place. I think it was Angie, then Fiona.
Yeah. So Amy, get here as soon as you can. You're missing out.
I know.
Yeah. So hi everyone. My name is Angie. I live in the kind of Edmonds Montlake Lake area and relocated here 4 years ago from kind of Maple Valley area, but have a whole group of active friends down there, but moved up here and it's just hard to connect with them to do a lot of activities. So I'm trying to recreate a group of folks to be active with. I'm interested in backpacking and hiking, and the naturalist element of the group sounds really interesting. I'm kind of a retired endurance athlete, so the backpacking and hiking is kind of where I'm at for right now. But just looking forward to see. I dug into the website and gotten lost, so I thought I'm just going to go to the intro session and hear all about it. So thank you very much for hosting this.
Hi, I'm Fiona. I live in Seattle. I'm a road runner and a bit of a novice hiker. And despite being born and raised Washingtonian, having a lot of Washingtonian friends who grew up here, I don't have any friends who are outdoorsy somehow. I don't know how that happened. But yeah, looking to get more outdoorsy, looking to be safe trail running and find a trail running community. And I'd also like to get involved with backpacking as well.
Awesome. Nat just got really excited. Lauren, then Isabel.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I live in Seattle. I've been backpacking, hiking a very long time, and very familiar with Mount Rainier Park. Done a lot of hiking around there, and I just figured it's time to join up with the Mountaineers. So,
Great.
thanks.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Isabel. Yeah, I was born and raised here, and I love going on hikes and road running. And I thought this would be a great opportunity to meet more people and make it more of a community with folks who do activities like I'm interested in. And I signed up for the intro to trail running course, so I'm excited to do that.
Great. Veronica, then Julie De Gregario, then Julie Blessed.
Veronica already went.
Oh, sorry, Veronica.
Don't
Then
make me
Julie, if you turn your video on and off, then it moves you, and yeah.
No. Hi, my name's Julie. I just moved here this past fall from Phoenix, and I moved for a job at Seattle Children's. So I live right near, I get like a 3-minute walk from the hospital, which is great. But yeah, I just wanted to find a space to meet more people. I love trail running, paddleboarding, kayaking and stuff, but I thought being near the water, I would love to get into sea kayaking. And I kind of had the same issues like with the website. I was trying to find a way to navigate it to get into the intro courses and stuff. So I wanted to kind of, yeah, the meet and greet seemed great to meet everyone. And then also figure out how to get signed up for some of these. Also, I'm really excited. The organization seems amazing.
Great, thank you.
Hi, I'm Julie Blutz, and I joined the group. Let's see, I moved to the area about a year and a half ago from Hawaii, and we didn't have glaciers to climb in Hawaii. So immediately we were interested in getting into that. We climbed Mount Baker last year. As part of the conditioning, we were climbing to Camp Muir, and we saw the Mountaineers group up on the mountainside, and it looked just like a ton of fun. So definitely knew I wanted to join the group and get involved in climbing more mountains. Our goal is to climb all the big volcanoes in the area. So that's what I'm signed up for the scrambling course right now and hoping to keep advancing and getting more skills. So eventually we can climb some bigger mountains. And it's hard to find people that want to go climb a mountain on the weekend. So I'm really excited to meet more people who are interested in that sort of thing.
Awesome. You will find all of those people here for sure. Ganesh, then Julia, then Vale. I cannot believe how many Julias we have. This has never happened before. It's great.
Okay, hi guys. My name is Ganesh. I'm also a recent transplant to Seattle. I moved in October from Texas. So yeah, just looking for a way to find more of a community with people who love the outdoors. So yeah, I'm really interested in backpacking, bikepacking, want to try out sea kayaking. So just excited to get out there this summer.
Awesome. Yeah, it sounds like we can have like a little moved from Texas support group here if you need one.
Hi, I moved from Portland about a month ago, and I had a pretty decent like outdoor community there. But now that I'm up here, I was recommended to join the Mountaineers just to have, a pretty new community of hiking and backpacking. And then I'm also hoping to get into sea kayaking and more water sports, paddleboarding, etc., whatever's available. So yeah, just really glad to be up here and hopefully finding a new community to get outside with.
Awesome. Yeah, then Vale, I think you're the last one.
Hi.
Or Val.
Can everyone hear me? Yeah, it's Vale. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, it's Vale. I'm from Colorado. My name is same as the town, Vale, in Colorado. I just graduated college last year in Boulder, and then I moved out here for a job in the fall. And I've just been wanting to meet some people that are like around my age and interested in outdoor sports. I haven't met a ton of people that are into outdoor stuff, so far. So I'm hoping this is a good community for that. But yeah, in Colorado, I loved hiking. I love rock climbing. I loved yoga. I really love paddleboarding as well. I'm hoping to do more water sports here, like paddleboarding, sailing, maybe sea kayaking. And recently I've gotten into backpacking. I did a 22-mile trip last weekend and I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm really hoping to do a lot more of that this summer. And just, yeah, get good at that because it was really fun.
Awesome. It
Yeah.
was pouring rain last weekend. I'm very impressed.
Oh, I was in Hawaii actually. It was not.
Oh, okay. We understand now. I was like, why would you do that? That sounds terrible, but okay. Awesome. Well, hopefully y'all feel like you met some folks that you can potentially make connections with or just get a sense of, sort of who comes to the Mountaineers and what reasons y'all are here. There's definitely a lot of through lines in this group. So now what we're going to do is transition into kind of like the quote lecture section. I do what I can to keep this light and fun. It's helpful for my emotional esteem if you all can keep your video on, so I'm not just talking to my window in my like very short downstairs basement room. But if you need to turn it off, that's totally fine. So I'm going to walk through kind of the history of the Mountaineers, ways to get involved, who we are, what we do. I'll talk through some specifics on the website that can be really helpful for folks who are new to navigating it. It's for sure complicated and doesn't do anything it's great, but it doesn't always work the way that people want it to work. So we'll talk through that, and then we'll have time for questions and answers at the end, and all 5 of our volunteers have are going to be sticking around, and you can opt to go into their room. And, you know, if you have specific questions about trail running, you can go and chat with Nat about that sort of thing. Sound good? All right, so let's see if I can do this part of it. All right, is everyone seeing my screen okay over there, the full screen?
Yep.
Okay, great.
I want to say I've been to a few of these calls. I've never had such diverse group of interests. Like it's all I want to climb Rainier. Like honestly, everybody. But this is so great. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, Nat, for sure. Well, like I said, my name's Christina. I'm a skier, runner, climber. I have been on a mountain bike one time, and it was to take this photo, so don't like get the impression that I'm really hardcore. And I just had 2 kids during the pandemic, so I got 2 little boys at home, and my adventure life looks a little bit different than it used to, but very excited still to be part of this outdoor community and learn, you know, kind of what it means to be part of it now with my, you know, kind of new new lifestyle here. All right. So we did this already. Sorry, jumping ahead. So who are the Mountaineers? We're an outdoor volunteer-led nonprofit founded in 1906. Our core values are adventure, advocacy, community, education, and volunteerism. And what we're ultimately about is adventure with purpose. So connecting you to the power of transformative experiences in the outdoors, but also connecting you with people to get outdoors with. And the hope is that you build a lifelong love for the outdoors and that you want to protect those places, but also that you find belonging in outdoor spaces. So we have kind of 2 wings to the Mountaineers mission. So first is our what is called the Mountaineers. It's our kind of programs that we offer to get folks outdoors. So volunteer-led courses, activities, events, and more, supported by a small staff. We have about 30 folks who work at our Seattle Program Center and our Tacoma Program Center. But we have 3,000 volunteers who lead a community of 16,000 members, and that's how all the outdoor stuff happens. So I have a dream job, but I still sit at a desk all day. It's bummer. And then we also have Mountaineers books. Most folks who have heard of us have heard of the Mountaineers through Mountaineers books. We publish 30 to 35 titles a year, including Mountaineering Freedom of the Hills, which I'll talk a little bit about later. There's a ton of ways to get involved with us. This is part of the reason that some of you all may have expressed confusion, because there's just so much that we do. So we have courses. If you come to us with 0 outdoor skills, or you have outdoor skills that you want to take to the next level, chances are that we have courses led by volunteers who can help you amp up those skills. We also have activities. You just want to get outside. 99% of our activities are free. And we encourage you to get outside with the Mountaineers, obviously. We have events, we have lodges, we have a bookstore, you can volunteer with us, we have youth programs. The one key differentiator here is that we are not a guide service. I'll talk a little bit more about what group dynamics looks like in a little bit, but if you're just looking to climb Mount Rainier, I would be more than happy to point you to like Rainier Mountaineering Incorporated, RMI, or a number of other great guide services, Whitaker Mountaineering, for example, that can get you to the summit of Mount Rainier, get you back down. But we're here to give you the skills for a lifetime of adventure. Here's a look at the outdoor courses that we offer. New in the last couple of years, we recently added night sky, bike packing, pack rafting is relatively new to us, and canyoning is new in the last couple of years as well. So we have 7 branches. And let me just pause and say that I will follow up with an email later that has links to all of the stuff that I'm showing you. So don't feel like you need to take screen grabs or anything like that. I will definitely send you this stuff. But we have 7 lodges and 7 branches, 3 mountain lodges. So we have a branch in Everett, Kitsap, Bellingham, Tacoma, Olympia, Seattle, and then Foothills, which I talked about earlier, is the I-5, I-405 corridor. When you register for a membership with the Mountaineers, whether it's a paid membership or a free guest membership, we ask you to designate a branch. The reason for that is just so that we send you emails about what's going on in your area. You can participate in any course or activity with any branch, regardless of your branch affiliation. So it is by no means restrictive. It's just so that, you know, if you live in Bellingham, you're not getting emails about what happens in Olympia, because unless you have a helicopter, like that is not a drive that you want to be doing. We also have 3 mountain lodges. They are ski in, ski out at ski resorts. So we have a lodge at Stevens Pass. So ski in, ski out at Stevens Mountain. There's also one at Mount Baker, which Nat said that, right? You volunteer there?
Yep, yep.
And then we have our own private 500 acres of land at Stampede Pass, which is just 10 miles east of Snoqualmie Pass on the on I-90 off at exit 64. And it is home to the fastest, longest, legally operated rope tow in the United States. And I say legally operated because it can go 19 miles an hour, but they make us put a governor on it, so it only goes 17 miles an hour. But it's super fun. The lodges are all really great. They're hostel style, which is not hostile. They're not hostile to visitors. They're just like a hostel. So a lot of them just have like you're just in bunk rooms, but all of the food is catered. So when you sign up for a night, you're paying for sleeping the night there, but also dinner the night before and breakfast the next day. So it's just a really great community of folks up there, and encourage y'all to check that out. And here's a little video that can tell you more about the Mountaineers. Can you all hear that?
Yep.
We are Mountaineers.
We are explorers and adventurers.
Wanderers on sacred lands.
We are groundbreakers.
Founded in 1906 by 151 visionaries.
At a time when a trip into our unmapped Pacific Northwest mountain ranges meant riding on a luggage car,
Then picking a faraway peak and finding our way to the top.
With only a compass and a keen eye.
We shared summits and explored waterways.
And built trails to uncover unique and challenging landscapes.
Half of the first mountaineers were women.
They were veiled and wore long petticoats.
But summited mountains all the same.
We helped create the North Cascades Wilderness Area
and passed the National Wilderness Act.
Early mountaineers established methods for safe travel in the mountains.
The same methods our volunteers still teach today.
We wrote the book on mountaineering.
Literally.
Our members founded REI,
seeking better gear to take them further. Jim Whitaker, the first American on the summit of Mount Everest.
And Fred Beckey, father of the North Cascades,
are both mountaineers.
Your grandparents were mountaineers. Your kids will be too.
We aspire to inspire.
With hundreds of monthly activities led by our coalition of volunteers.
Our recreation, conservation, and sustainable lifestyle books are deeply rooted in the Pacific Northwest,
yet reach people worldwide.
We hike, ski, climb, and paddle.
We sail and snowshoe and scramble.
We capture and savor.
We conserve.
In getting outside, we inspire a community to give back.
Adventure with purpose is our legacy, and we endeavor to make it our future.
Our growing community is powered by people and places.
Members join to take classes only to discover a group of lifelong friends.
We learn skills from books and volunteers, falling in love with the outdoors in the process.
From this love grows a passion to give back and advocate for our wild places.
So the next generation can also discover the power of visiting an untouched place.
We go outside to inspire curiosity and self-discovery.
To feel small.
To unlock our true potential.
And release the burdens of every day.
The outdoors brings us together.
The Pacific Northwest is our home.
We lose ourselves in the outdoors.
We find ourselves there too.
We are the Pacific Northwest.
We are Mountaineers.
So the Mountaineers was founded to enrich the community by helping people explore, conserve, learn about, and enjoy the lands and waters of the Pacific Northwest and beyond. In our almost 120-year history, this has been revised only once, and it was to add the words "and beyond." To put this into a little bit more context, white settlers arrived in the Pacific Northwest in the mid-1850s, and they were greeted by the Coast Salish people. And one of the leaders of the Coast Salish people was Chief Suiattle, or South or Chief Seattle, after whom our great city is named. And he did a really great job of being kind of an intermediary peacemaker between the Coast Salish people and the white settlers. And even so, when he died, it was not even covered in the newspapers. And I think that just is a tiny sliver into kind of the erasure of the native peoples when white settlers arrived. And it would be disingenuous to not recognize that the Mountaineers were founded at a time where they benefited from the erasure of native peoples. So a lot of what was considered, quote, unmapped land in the Pacific Northwest had been stewarded from time immemorial by the Coast Salish folks. So as we engage in our mission today, we strive to really recognize and respectfully engage with the lands in honoring of the Coast Salish historical practices. To put it in a little bit of perspective, fast forward to 1906. This is what downtown Seattle looked like in 1906-ish. So quite a bit different. You had dirt roads, railroads, cars were like not quite, barely invented yet, lots of horse-drawn carriages, et cetera, et cetera. And to put it in even further perspective, this is what downtown Tacoma looked like in 1906. I got to get my cow jokes in there. I mentioned I'm from Montana. This is not the last cow joke. But this is not true because Tacoma was actually the bigger city at the time. Because it was a larger port city. It was larger than Seattle. But back to the Seattle days, what was cool about the Mountaineers is we were founded by 151 members, half of whom were women. So 77 were women, which is pretty remarkable because at this time, men and women were not really allowed to hang out together socially. So if someone was interested in someone else, they would take their card, like a literal calling card, and they would take it to their house and they would leave it for that person they were interested in. And if that person was interested back, they would give their calling card back, and then they got married. That's more or less how it worked. So just quite a bit different than things are socially today. So Mount Si was our first official hike that was kind of out of town. By show of hands, just who has hiked Mount Si? Nat's like, yeah, I go there every week. All right, great. Well, so for those of you who haven't been to Mount Si, this is Mount Si. And nowadays it's considered a pretty strenuous hike. So it's 4 miles over 4,000 feet of elevation gain. So you come, you park over here, you work your way up to the top, which is up in this area. And then some folks will do like a scramble all the way up to the very top of, like, there's these big boulders. It's called the haystacks. I've never been to the very top. And then make their way down. Well, in 1906, this was quite a different trip than it is today because it required 4 modes of transportation just to get there. So you took like a horse-drawn carriage buggy out of Seattle to get to the shores of Lake Washington, where you got on a steamship to go across because there's no bridge. And then you're getting on a railroad car to get you out on the way to the pass, North Bend area. And then you're walking. You get to the bottom of this and there's no privy to take care of your business, no garbage cans, there's no trailhead, there's no trail. So over the course of 2 days, about 50 intrepid mountaineers slowly made their way up. They write about it in what I like to call our yearbook, but the Mountaineers Annual. And it was quite an adventurous trip to get to the top. But what they did in that day is what we today call scrambling. So scrambling is off-trail travel from point A to point B. I like to think of it as a love child between hiking and climbing, but for those of you who aren't familiar with what scrambling means, that's what that is. So we more or less took these little, forays into nearby mountains, or we would go on, hikes in Discovery Park, etc. And then in the summertime, we would take trips of 3 or 4 weeks into kind of mountain areas. And in 1909, we got 39 people to the summit of Comacolcha, Mount Baker, in a single day, which forever changed the way that people thought about mountaineering on a global scale. Like, this was literally front page news in Europe, where they'd been climbing forever, but would never ever think of taking a group this large because it just wasn't considered safe. But that was where we started to kind of be groundbreakers in terms of we just were inventing ways of getting outside safely as we went. Anyone have any idea what's going on in this photo? Want to take a guess? Feel free to just unmute and shout it out. Amy thinks she has a guess, but
No, I don't know. I was like, is that a cow? But no, it's got to be like a horse.
Girlfriend, I told you there were going to be more cow
I know,
jokes,
so that's
and you are right.
right.
So this woman is on what was at the time called the steerage committee, steerage. And this was our very first trip. This photo's from when the folks went into the Mount Olympus area, what is now Olympic National Park, in 1907. So this was from our very, very first summer trip. And the thinking at the time was that it would be easier if the food carried itself.
No.
So apologies to the vegans, vegetarians in the audience, but we marched a whole bunch of cows in there, and then they ate them. But apparently it is, if you've all been to Olympic National Park, you know it is quite an arduous trip to get there. It's still very rugged today, even though it's been more developed. And this was a very difficult trip for these cows, and the food did not go nearly as far as they were hoping because of just the strenuousness of the trip. The cows lost a bunch of weight, that sort of thing. You live, you learn, you carry your own food. So like I said, we continued to invent ways and standards of getting outside that predated, that were brand new. Everyone carried alpenstocks, which are just, big, long hiking sticks. They had ice, they had nails pounded into the bottom of their boots, hobnail boots, their leather shoes. I mean, I get really cold feet, so I just can't even imagine having like a metal conduit going right to the base of my foot. But this is more or less how they got outside. Anyone have a idea of what's going on in this photo from 1919? All right, well, they are doing a group glissade. And so what glissading is nowadays is you use an ice axe. This is an ice axe for folks who haven't seen one. So you've got this sharp pointy end here called the adze. It's a long, it's about arm's length long. And what you do is you sit on your bottom in the snow, and glissading is just sliding down the snow on your butt. That's all it is. And so you sit on the bottom on your snow, on the snow on your bottom. You hold this in your hand with the adze, this part facing forwards. So then if you get going too fast, you just roll yourself over, you slam this into the snow, and you self-arrest. Well, in 1919, when this photo was taken, they did not have ice axes. And so they're doing what I like to refer to as the centipede of safety. So they essentially would wrap their legs around the person in front of them, and in turn, the person behind them would wrap their legs around them. And if for some reason, like a snow bridge opened up or something, they'd just hold on really, really tight and hope that nobody fell into a crevasse. Crazy, actually totally worked. If you look back at other Mountaineers photos, particularly as folks are going up, you'll notice this like very specific spacing. There's this militaristic precision about that too, because again, no one's roped up. So the idea is that you're always exactly a step behind the person in front of you, so that if something happens, you can just use your fox-like reflexes and grab their rucksack and hope the person behind you is also paying attention and they grab your rucksack, and then nobody falls down. Again, totally worked. And then we got ropes, but that's how it started. So we into the 1920s, we more or less took these big summer trips, and then we got out on skis and snowshoes in the wintertime. And then in the 1920s, this group that I like to refer to as the Young Bucks came along and sort of formed, and they were led by this handsome guy here called Wolf Bauer. Wolf was Austrian. He had come over, immigrated from Austria, and he was very into rock climbing, vertical rock climbing. And he was like, we got to do this. The club needs to let us do some rock climbing. And the club was like, no way, absolutely not, never, ever. And the reason why is that when rock climbing first started, the only way to do it was to use pitons in the cracks. And so what a piton is, I got one right here. I have my little visual aids. They're kind of fun. So this is a piton, which as you can see, it's just a little, it's a little metal piece. And you essentially put it into a crack of a rock, and then you tie your rope off to this little loop here. And then that way, if you go up and you fall, you stop at this loop instead of falling all the way to the ground. And the thing about pitons is that they were permanent. So you left them in the rock after you visited. And the Mountaineers was founded on the ethos of conservation. Actually, all 3 national parks in Washington state were founded in part by Mountaineers members. And so vertical rock climbing went completely against the ethos of the Mountaineers of leaving no trace, which was another term that we invented in our 3rd edition of Freedom of the Hills. And this was so contentious that Wolf just kept going out and doing these climbs, and the club was like, you can't be a member, you can't do that, like this is bad. And he was like, I'm gonna do it. That it almost completely like abolished the club. The Mountaineers almost ceased to exist over this infighting between these 2 groups. Sound familiar? Anyway, they ultimately came to a agreement that they would continue to allow Wolf to offer these, to go on these climbs if he established a committee and he came up with a course, excuse me, and then taught other people how to do rock climbing. So it wasn't just this in-club group where you had to know Dave, who knows Steve, who knew Wolf to get you involved, but that it could make it accessible to more people and hopefully create more stewards for the outdoors. So that was the thinking behind that. So that's how the club continued for the next 30 years and even to today. So when you're on our website, you're going to see the word committee everywhere. What committee means is like that is the group of volunteers who is responsible for leading this activity. So each of our branches, each of our 7 branches has a set of activity committees under it. And if any volunteers want to get together and offer a new course, they basically say, here's the new course we want to offer, here's the curricula, here are the basic learning things that folks are going to gain from this course. Can we put it together? And then they get approval from their branch, and then they start offering that course. So I said earlier that like pack rafting is new in the last couple of years, bike packing is new in the past couple of years, canyoning is about 5 years old at this point. So we still have innovation within our volunteers today, which is just super cool. And I think Nat said earlier, she was one of the folks who started the trail running committee that has only existed for 6 years. So super cool to see just the innovation and excitement that comes out of this community. And in part, so many folks take classes and then come back to volunteer from those classes because they got so much out of them. Anyone have an idea who these 2 handsome devils are? Good. I don't want you to ruin my fun story. Okay. This is Lloyd and Mary Anderson, and they were in the very first class with Wolf Bauer in 1936. Mary was a super accomplished outdoors woman. Lloyd was as well. And so they were like, great, we can't wait to take this climbing course. It's going to help us take our outdoor skills to the next level. And so, you know, and Wolf is teaching the class, and he has all of this quote state-of-the-art stuff, material gear from Europe. And so they go to class, and Lloyd is totally coveting this ice axe. He really wants one. Just like that. So he decides that he's going to buy one. So he just goes online on his computer and he Googles where to buy an ice axe. Nope. He walks around downtown Seattle until he finds someone who can order him an ice axe. They eventually agree on a price, which he already feels is way too high at $3.50, which when wages are 25 cents to 50 cents a day is pretty significant price. So anyway, then, you know, weeks or months go by and the ice axe comes in, and I don't know, a carrier pigeon tells him it's ready or something. And so he goes and picks it up, and the guy ends up charging him $7 for extra for shipping. And not only and so he already feels, you know, ripped off. And then it's like, it's a cheap knockoff of a ice axe. It's heavy, it's big, it's bulky. It is not at all what he wants. And so of course he's really upset about this. And Mary, being the problem solver that she is, she says, listen, I speak German. let's just, because of course she does. Let's just order a catalog from Germany and we'll order ice axes from there. And he's like, yeah, fine, okay. So she does that. She does the math. She's like, it's gonna be $1.50 for this ice axe. And he's like, there's no way that is right. And she's like, well, it's right. So they order 2 axes. They come and they're incredible. Lloyd and Mary are like the talk of the climbing class town, right? Everybody wants to hold their ice axe and like practice glissading with their ice axe and like plunge stepping with their ice axe. So before she knows it, the entire class has come to Mary and are like, hey, so do you think you could order ice axes for everyone? And she's like, yeah, sure, no problem. So she does that. And then later they're like, so does that book like also have, you know, like rucksacks and maybe some sleeping bags in it that we could look at, that we could order? And she's like, yeah, okay, sure, no problem. And that is how they founded the Recreational Equipment Cooperative in 1936 in their attic in West Seattle. So 2 years later, 1938, 5 Mountaineers members each put in $1 apiece to officially establish the cooperative, which for many years was just down the hallway from the Mountaineers clubhouse in downtown. It was known colloquially as the Mountaineers Co-op. Obviously, REI has grown into this huge behemoth that it is today. And it has, you know, kind of way outpaced the Mountaineers, but it's so cool that our history is really intertwined in that way. When Mary Anderson passed away about 7 years ago, at 107 years old, she still had REI card number 2.
Mm-hmm.
So by the 1950s, our climbing courses really became recognized nationally because we're doing some cool stuff. And Lloyd and Mary had been involved in writing kind of the class handbook that was called the Climber's Handbook. And we had run out of copies of that, and they started putting together like a new edition, and it just kind of kept growing and growing and growing. And then eventually in 1960, they published what then became known as Mountaineering, the Freedom of the Hills. I mentioned earlier, most folks know us through our publishing division, and the most folks know us through what is colloquially called Freedom. Some people call it the Bible of Mountaineering. But Freedom today has been published in 8 languages. It's sold in 22 countries, and it was so popular. We ordered 3,000 copies, expecting it to last 5 years. It sold out in 3 weeks. And the popularity of Freedom has enabled us to launch our publishing division, which today publishes 30 to 35 books a year. We have adventure narratives, how-to guides, hiking guides, where to go guides. We also publish conservation titles. So we've been engaged in work in the Arctic, for example, and protecting the natural world through our publications. Fun fact, the Alpine Lakes Wilderness Area was established as a wilderness area in 1970 by then President Ford. He signed it into law despite pushback from Congress because our then Governor Evans had been in like Cub Scouts with Ford and was able to get on his docket and brought a copy of our book that had just been published called The Alpine Lakes and showed him photos of the area, and then he signed the wilderness bill into law later that day. Okay, that's it for my fun history lessons. I just think it's so cool to kind of know what you're joining and what you're being a part of. So today, the Mountaineers is a passionate community of outdoor adventures led by a coalition of volunteer instructors. I think I mentioned we have 3,000 volunteers who teach all of our courses and lead all of our activities, host our lodges, et cetera, et cetera. And then they support a community of about 16,000, mainly in Western Washington, but we have members throughout the world who stay involved and continue to support our mission. As we engage in our mission moving forward, we recognize that there are communities of folks who have been historically excluded from the outdoors, and we're really seeking to drive meaningful engagement and change around the narrative of who belongs in the outdoors. So here's a little video about our future mission of Adventure with Purpose and what that means for us. Mountaineers adventure with purpose. We seek out places that are bigger than ourselves to uncover joy and feel the transformative power of nature.
We envision a world where all people have the opportunity to connect, experience, enjoy, and protect. We're advocates, raising our voices together for this and future generations. Mountaineers believe in the unwavering value of outdoor spaces and their power to change minds and inspire action. We adventure, exploring in places big and small. We believe in fresh air in your lungs, wind in your hair, raindrops on your head, and in creating memories together to last a lifetime. We're a community, teaching responsible recreation for all people to find belonging in the outdoors. We believe knowledge fosters thriving communities, growing connections with every lesson. The Mountaineers flourish thanks to a culture of giving. Our volunteers give back and pay it forward, empowering others to confidently explore in their own backyards and beyond. We believe we were all connected to this earth and to each other through the magic of outdoor play. Our supporters help us go farther, providing resources to reach more people and to preserve the outdoor experience. Each act of giving strengthens our bonds and deepens our roots. Together we grow. Together we thrive. Together we shine. We adventure with purpose. Together.
That's Karen Wallace at the end of that video waving. Just fun fact for you. Okay, so there's three main tenets of our mission: explore, learn, conserve. So if you're here because you just want to get outside already, go to the activities section of our page and sign up for any activity that looks good to you and that you're qualified for. I'll talk a bit about that qualification piece in a little bit, but basically many of our activities have prerequisites, and we'll come back to that in a little bit. Like I said, courses are where you learn. That's where you want to go ahead and check out if you're ready to get involved in that. And then conservation is the third piece of our mission. So we'll come back and walk through all of these things. So if you're ready to explore, get outside today. Here's a look at all of the activities that are currently listed. I pulled this screenshot mere moments ago, but essentially this is a look at all of the activities we have right now. So there's 3 backcountry ski trips planned, 50 backpacks, 108 climbing trips, 32 scrambles, 43 sea kayaks, et cetera, et cetera. Volunteers are listing these every single day. So there's always something new. We have an average of 6 activities per day. So to dive in, some tips and pointers to find what you're looking for. You can drill down by activity type. That's obviously like the easiest, best way to get started. Here's a look at that. You can also look at difficulty levels. So this is, so for beginners, which I think has recently been updated to say, I don't know, casual, easy, moderate, or challenging. You can also, like, if you have a spring break coming up and you know you only want to look at certain dates, you can do that as well. And then you can also toggle for things that are only open for registration versus all. So let me explain this a little bit. So when you go to our search pages, we're going to show you everything that's listed, everything that's available. However, everything might not be available for sign up right now. And the reason for that is that Karen might take one rainy weekend, last weekend, when not all of us were in Hawaii, for example. And she might list all of her scrambles for the year, but she doesn't want to have to manage the registration for all of those things for November now, right? So what most folks will do is they'll have like a 3-week window where you can actually register for the activity, and that just cuts down on a lot of kind of like the registration noise for our volunteers of people registering, then canceling, then registering, canceling, etc. So we default to show you everything that's available on the activities. You can actually see it says when registration opens or when it closes. So that way you can make notes on your calendar and remind yourself to register for something later. But if you're like, Christina, I just want to sign up for a hike right now, go to only for open for registration. That'll save you a lot of time. And then you can also search by branch. For activities, this isn't really relevant because most of our stuff happens in the outdoors anyway, but for courses, you probably want to take a course associated with a branch that's nearby to you. The reason for that is most of our courses require a classroom component. Some of those are virtual now, but some of them still require you to be in person. And so you don't want to have to, you know, like I said, drive to Bellingham if you live in Olympia, et cetera. But I wouldn't use this filter for activities. And then, whoops, you can also filter by a map. So if you say, I just want to go for a hike in the Olympics, for example, you can go ahead and toggle over to the map feature and look that way. Most people don't know about this, so that's why I like to call it out. It hides up there in the corner somehow. We do have scholarships available on our website for anything that costs money. So if you want to go on a global adventures trip, you want to take a course, you need support for membership, we give away $75,000 in scholarships every year. Our community is really wonderful and folks don't ask for more than what they need. So in general, we're able to fulfill pretty much every scholarship request that we get. And definitely encourage you to apply for a scholarship if this applies to your situation. We also have a gear library available. This is actually on pause until October. We've had some staffing challenges, but this is available. We use it for our youth programs, but it's also available for any individual member to join the gear library and check stuff out with us. So we have a ton of what we would consider kind of like non-technical gear. So we don't have climbing harnesses, for example, but we do have backpacks and tents and sleeping bags and warm layers and cross-country skis and snowshoes and all of that sort of stuff. Here's just a look at our introductory courses. So, we're an outdoor school essentially led by volunteers. Our quote school season generally kicks off in October, November, and then runs through the following September. So pretty standard school year sort of thing. Some of our classes are long and can only be offered one time a year. And some of our classes are short and are offered all year round. So like Wilderness First Aid, it's just a weekend course and that is offered all year round. Our conditioning hiking series kicks off in spring and then is offered through the summer. In general, we strive to teach the skill that you want to have in the season before you want to have that skill. So, for example, right now, our kayaking courses are kicking off because when summer starts in Seattle, which for those of you who are new here is July 5th officially, you can go ahead and be all ready to go out in a kayak. Make sense? Here's a look at the courses that we have listed on our website. Again, I pulled this screenshot today, but 33 backpacking courses, 34 climbing courses, 3 naturalist courses. We also teach courses in outdoor leadership for our volunteers, which is just a great way to take, professional development to the next level. We also have urban walks and sailing, sea kayaking, etc. So we've got a lot of classes listed right now. Definitely encourage you to just check those out. All the same filters apply, and that's what we walked through already. If you're thinking, Christina, how the heck am I supposed to keep up with everything that's posted when it's posted? Great question. On your My Profile page, you can go ahead and sign up for email alerts to find out when new stuff is added. So you can find out as soon as it's added in a daily digest or in a weekly digest. You can pick the activities you're interested in learning more about. If you have anything specific, any specific branches you want to hear about, etc. So definitely sign up and that'll save you a lot of time. So I'm just going to walk through some specifics on a course page for you because some folks have questions on this. So this is this is an introduction to trail running course. I'm sharing this with Gabby's permission from 2018. Here you can see when the course is offered. So it runs May 3rd to June 30th. It's led by the Foothills Trail Running Committee. The price for members and guests, here's where you apply for a scholarship. Availability here shows you that there's 34 spots available out of 40 spots. So that means 6 people are registered at this point. And then the cancellation policy. So on this page, there's also course requirements roster. Once you've registered for the class, you can see who else is in it, required equipment, course materials. So you come to this page and you're like, man, this sounds really interesting. I want to learn more. Please click this more button because that is what Gabby, who is the leader of this activity, that is what she has written. This more button is like, she's just typing into a computer. She's talking directly to you as a course person interested in the course. So definitely check that out. Then if you still have questions, you can always email our member services team at info.mountaineers.org, or you can come down and click on Gabby's name and send her a message. So first things we want to do is we decide we want to sign up. So we click this register button here, which after you're registered turns into a blue manage registration button. And then you have a question maybe. Oh, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. This will pop up. And this is where you can say, I want to do the Mercer Island Trail Run, and I want to sign up for the May 12th event. But let's say later, save changes. Then let's say later you decide, no, May 12th is not going to work for me. It's Mother's Day or something. I want to swap to the 24th. You can just come back to the manage registration button here, click this, and then swap yourself over. So we try to make it easy for folks to manage their own participation that way. Then if you say, you know, you have a question like, hey, Gabby, I'd really like to bring my dog on one of these activities. Is that okay? We've given you the tools to get in touch with her directly. So you click on her name. Here's her email address. This is her Mountaineers profile. So you can see the activities she's involved in, committees she's on, all of her badges. We'll talk about badges in a little bit. And then this is where carpool preferences show up. And I'll talk really briefly about carpooling. We cannot assign you to a carpool for liability reasons. We can't say like, you know, Nat, you have to get in a car with Veronica, but we do give you all of the tools to self-assign. And often someone like Gabby will send out an email in advance, you know, trying to help coordinate this sort of thing. But essentially, once you're registered for the activity, well, first, encourage you to put in your carpool preferences, which are something like, I don't have a car and I can't drive, and I'd love to carpool from, this is an easy carpool place for me, and which we do have a number of members who don't have cars and are successfully able to get out with us. Or, you know, as she has said, I live on the east side, I drive this car, I'm happy to drive or ride, etc. So once you've got that stuff input, you can send Gabby an email if you have a question. Once you're registered for the class, this roster will show up, and then you'll be able to see who else in the class. Look, Nat was in that class. Hi.
I was an instructor. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for helping.
Yeah.
So then you can, like, you know, scroll over Nat's page and then it'll show her carpool preferences, or you can see, oh, Jesse's also in this class. I actually know them from XYZ. I'm going to shoot them a message. So we've given you the tools to manage registration in that way. I see that there's, all right, no problem, Julie. Thanks for coming. All right. So third tenet of our mission is conservation and advocacy. I touched on this importance a few times already, but we have 3 staff who are dedicated to conservation and advocacy, and about 80% of our programs take place on national public land. And so about 80% of our advocacy efforts take place in DC for like national efforts. So an example is that we have worked on the SOAR Act, which is trying to make our helping fund national public lands, helping fund our land managers, et cetera, like that, trying to make other things like trying to make permitting easier. So there's our conservation and advocacy team could talk for days about all of the different things that we do. And we only have a few minutes today, but I definitely encourage you to check out our advocacy pages. We have a brand new Advocacy 101 e-learning course that really walks you through kind of the effective way to engage with legislators and different land managers, and kind of just what happens behind the scenes. So really encourage y'all to check that out. I will say that the Mountaineers is seen as a leader in the nation in terms of advocacy for national public lands. And the reason for that is you all. So we say, hey, please speak up on this issue. Like they want to do an open pit mine in the Methow Valley, and y'all come out like in force for us. We have like a 40% response rate to our action alerts, which is just kind of, doesn't sound like a lot, but it's really bananas in terms of engagement. So thank you all in advance for support you can provide. And I mentioned earlier, we've been involved in Alpine Lakes Wilderness, establishment of all the national parks. Mountains to Sound Greenway was recently designated as a National Heritage Area. Mount Size out over here. So yeah, just really cool to see all of that work come together. And then in 2018, we installed solar panels on our Seattle Program Center. So if y'all haven't been here, that's what it looks like. There's a great outdoor climbing wall that's open to the public anytime. And we're on a mission to become carbon neutral in our Seattle, in all of our buildings. And we almost have achieved that at our Tacoma Program Center, which is super cool. We also ask that many of our students, if you're in what is called a basic level course, complete stewardship credits in order to actually graduate. So we ask many of our students to complete about 8 hours of stewardship, just as our way to assure that we're giving back to the lands that are bringing us so much. Does anyone here have young kiddos? Okay, I will not go into much depth in our youth programs, but suffice it to say we have year-round club programs for kids aged 2 to 19. And then we also offer summer camps at 5 of our branches for kids aged 6 to 12. And then we also have what we call partner programs, where we partner with like local youth serving organizations. So schools, YMCA, church groups, to bring kids in and to lead outdoor programming that also teaches transferable life skills. So if you think about rock climbing, super fun, right? But it also teaches you communication and trust and systems management and group dynamics. So all of those types of things really can translate into successful lifehood. Lifehood? We're going to call that a word. But I'm happy to chat more about our youth programs at the end if anyone wants to, if anyone has questions. Have I mentioned we're led by volunteers? So if that's news to you, we're led by volunteers, and there's obviously a ton of volunteer opportunities with 3,000 volunteers. We have folks who, you know, belay kids a few hours a month, to folks who, like all of the volunteers who are here today, give hundreds of hours of their time to support the organization. As I think I mentioned already, most people come to volunteering via taking a course and then signing up to volunteer with that course. But there's other opportunities that you can plug into, and those are listed on our website if you're just really eager to get involved now. And then we have mountain lodges. I already talked about these, but this was like an epic snow year. So I'd just like to show this photo of our Meany Lodge. I think. Is that Meany?
That's not Baker. I know that.
No, it's not Baker. All right. It's not.
I've
It's not
only been
Stephen.
to Baker. I've only been to Baker.
You haven't seen the other ones? It's crazy.
No, never seen the other ones. I know.
All right. Well, you'll have to compare, or maybe not. Maybe you're Baker for life. All right, we're coming into the home stretch here, folks. So we have tons of benefits on our website. We partner with various gear shops, etc. We recognize that getting outside is super expensive and gear is super expensive. So we have over 100 discounts offered on our website. So my note about that is that when you sign up for a class and it shows you the requirements for the course, please don't go out and buy a bunch of stuff. Wait until the first day of class. They'll go over kind of like the syllabus, and they'll talk about the gear that you actually need, what you might have that might work, etc., what you can share, what we have for you. And then sometimes they do partner nights. So please just wait. And then once you know what you need, if you need anything, go to our website and definitely take advantage of all those discounts. Okay, how do you get involved? First things first, sign up for a membership with us. We do have free guest options as well. We ask that you can take up to 2 activities for free before we ask you to register. We need everybody who gets outside with us to have signed a liability waiver. So that's why you have to have a account in order to register for anything, which you all probably already do since you're here. Once you are registered, you get a profile, and that's what we were looking at earlier for Gabby, but you can, you know, say your communication preferences, or I'm sorry, share your pronouns, your join date will show here, the branch, your email address, what you're interested in. You can write a bio. This is where your carpool preferences show up. And then you can also, once you start to earn badges, you'll see them here. So badges are essentially a visual representation of skills that you've earned. We'll come back to that on the next slide. This is where your personal details live. So your address, your phone number, and then your emergency contact person. We just need this in case something goes wrong on a trip. This information no one can see with the exception of me or like Karen if you're on a scramble with her, so she can access it in the context of that trip. Your profile is set to viewable, which means that anyone else who's signed into their Mountaineers program who is on the same activity as you can see this part of your profile in order to access for carpooling information. I like to cover that because privacy is super important to me, but nobody on the internet's going to be able to search your name and see this page. It's only to folks who are signed in and can see you. We have a whole FAQ built about this. You can make your profile private. That just means that folks you're not going to show up as someone that they can see to like carpool with. So it just makes your process of signing up a little bit more difficult. But you can find more of that on your profile page, more info on that. Real quick hot tip here is that once you're registered for an activity, the easiest way to navigate to it is to go up to my profile up here and click on my activities or my courses and programs. Don't go back through search to try to find it. Nightmare idea. But this is also where you can sign up for my preferences that are the notifications we talked about. You can see your membership if you want to add a family member, et cetera, et cetera. And then if you are on a family membership, you can toggle between family members. We've connected them on the back end so that if I, Marty, want to sign up for a family hike, I can go ahead and register myself. Then I can toggle to my wife Marilyn's account, sign her up, and then I can go to Junior's account and sign little Junior up for the activity as well. So that way you don't have to like all coordinate at the same time. A central person can manage it for the entire family. Okay, so a note about badges. So as I mentioned, the Mountaineers is not a guide service. And so anyone who is going out on a trip with us needs to have the same basic set of prerequisites, because Nat is she's not a guide. She's not a trail running guide. Everybody on her trail running trips is responsible for the safety of everyone on that trail running trip. And so the idea is that if you want to go on a rock climb with us, which is one of the most technical things that we do, you need to have either taken the basic climbing course to prove that you have this set of skills, or you need to test out via an equivalency process, which is just down here. You have to demonstrate a proficiency. Quick note on equivalency. We've been offering it for about 7 or 8 years. And that seems like it is a long time, but it's actually not for a 120-year organization. Not all of the branches offer it in the same way. Not all of the courses offer it, et cetera, et cetera. It's not a super straightforward process. So if you are someone who comes to us with outdoor skills already, you go to this badge page and you read the description of skills. Okay, I, Christina, know how to select the appropriate clothing and equipment for a snowshoe. I have the basic conditioning I need. I have traveled on snowshoes before. I've taken an avalanche course, so I understand avalanche hazards, and I have taken wilderness first aid, so I have basic emergency preparedness. I feel like I could probably test out of this course. So what I'm going to do is I'll send an email to the member services team, or sometimes a equivalency coordinator is listed. And I will say all of those things. Hi, I'm really interested in graduating from this, in testing out of this course. I've done X, Y, and Z that I think means I meet your requirements. Please let me know next steps. If you have an array of skills and you think that maybe you could test out as something, but you're not sure what, please just kind of write it up for all of us. Send it to info@mountaineers.org, and we will help guide you through that process, because it's not super straightforward. It does take some time because it's led by volunteers, so they can only lead the equivalency tests, once a month or once every few months. So it doesn't happen overnight, but we're here to help guide you through that process. Any questions on equivalency or anything so far? I'll just pause real quick. Yeah, Amy, go ahead.
So if I want to go on a backpacking trip, like coming up this summer, I should, and I can't do a basic course beforehand. I haven't checked when the schedules are, but if that is the case that I can't, I would need to see if I can test out.
Right. And
to
I'm
take
not,
that activity.
yep, yep.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if, not all of our backpacks have the backpacking badge requirement. Some of them do and some of them don't. It kind of depends on the leader. Yeah,
Okay.
Christina.
Yeah, I wanted to speak to that. For backpacking, we do have what's called an open club backpacking trip. And those typically, the leaders can decide if they want to require a basic skills badge. A lot of our backpacking trips just require leaders' permission. And so that way we know that all the participants signed up are going to be successful, be able to feel good about what they're doing and know that everybody's on the same page. But a lot of times those open backpack trips don't have any prerequisites. But if we see a new profile, say you join and you don't have any activities, the leader will probably email you and say, hey, what's your experience? And so that we know that, like, if I'm leading a trip, I know that you're going to be okay and have that basic skill level.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Christina. Great name, by the way.
Always recommend reaching out. Leaders respond always, committee members, info@themountaineers.com. Like in the tight spot, you can even call the general phone number. Someone always picks up. It's a great, very easy way to get in touch.
Yeah,
Okay,
thanks for that, Nat.
Mhm.
Great. Well, we'll keep powering through. I'm committed to getting us wrapped up with this part by 8. So so if you want some easy ways to get involved right now, we have our virtual education center. We put this together during COVID. It's been super popular still. So you can see all of our virtual events and activities and the online classes that we offer, but it's also chock full of great educational resources. So blogs that we've written or stuff that our partners have written, or great YouTube videos that we love about fitness and performance, gear tips, leadership skills, planning and preparedness, technical skills, etc. So encourage you to check that out, and I'll send a link out to this later. If you're looking for something to do tomorrow in Seattle, we're also hosting a book launch party for Alpine Rising with author Bernadette McDonald. She's going to be joined by, this should be at the very top of this, and now I can't remember her name, Melissa Arnott, who is the most successful American woman climber on Everest ever. She recently did it with no oxygen, and so she's going to be interviewing Bernadette. And this is the book is all about the Sherpas, the Balti, and the triumph of local climbers in greater ranges. So primarily kind of over in the Karakoram range, like India, China, etc. So definitely would invite anyone to join us. That'll be tomorrow night at our Seattle Program Center. Or if you're really keen to get your first badge, which I'm a badge person, I like it, encourage you to check out our low impact recreation skills badge. It takes about 8 minutes, 10 minutes to earn this. You watch 4 2-minute videos, 8 minutes total. And then you take a little quiz. These teach the basics of, like, how do I know where to pitch my tent if I'm traveling off trail? What do I do how can I minimize my food waste when I'm outdoors? What do I do when I need to go number 1 or number 2? So definitely check these out. Really great low impact skills that all folks should have. And then you get a fancy badge in your profile. All right. So who here wants to climb Tahoma, Mount Rainier? All right. I heard that earlier. A couple hands. Great, great, great. So for folks who want to climb Rainier, the most common pathway for that is through our basic alpine climbing course. It's offered by actually all 7 of our branches. Sign up starts in October and the courses kick off in January. The way that the class works is it has 10 to 12 lectures and then 10 to 12 and then corresponding field trips. So you come in, you learn all about ice axes and how to self-arrest, etc. And then you actually go out and you practice that skill in the outdoors. Once you've done those 10 to 12 lectures and corresponding field trips, it's summertime and you have the summer to do 2 to 3 graduation climbs. Those are with the Mountaineers. And then once you, excuse me, have completed your graduation climbs, you are considered kind of a on track to graduate once you finish the co-requisite courses. So let me cover that. Basic, if it has the term basic in it, it generally has co-requisite courses in order to graduate. And it's kind of like your first year of schooling. So our two common co-requisite courses are navigation and first aid. And as I said earlier, everyone on the trip is responsible for the safety of everyone on the trip. So navigation, we feel like everyone should know how to read a map and compass, use the tools on their phone that are available, navigate out in case of an emergency. And then with first aid, the studies have shown that if you have two groups of 12 people, one group has a neurosurgeon in it, but nobody else has any medical training. Whereas the second group, everyone has basic first aid. The outcomes, the medical outcomes are always better in a group where more people have basic training than when you have a single expert. So that is why we ask everyone take first aid and navigation in order to contribute to the safety of the trip. These are separate courses, separate signups, separate course fees. It does not matter what order you take the classes in. So if you're my inside tip is that if you're interested in taking basic climbing this October, I recommend you sign up right now for navigation and first aid. And I also highly, highly recommend you go ahead and get that stewardship credit out of the way. And the reason is that the basic climbing course applications, a lot of them, we have more applications than we have course spots available. And a lot of the course applications are also a weighted lottery, which means that if you have shown that you're already kind of part of the community, because we're a self-sustaining community of volunteers, then you're more likely to get in the class than you are otherwise. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's say like Mount Rainier is not for you. I also highly recommend our scrambling course. Karen, if you couldn't tell, is full of enthusiasm, and she's a scrambler, and scrambling grads are like the happiest ones, mostly because they can just get away from everybody else with all the off-trail travel. But this teaches techniques for off-trail travel on snow and rock. It's all unroped movement, so there's no ropes involved in scrambling. It's 3 workshops, a 1-day field trip and a 2-day field trip, and also has a co-requisite requirement of navigation and first aid. The scrambling course and the basic alpine climbing course in Seattle also offer a intense version of the course. So instead of being offered over a number of weeks or months, the scrambling course is offered over 3 days on Mother's Day weekend typically, so that's coming up in May. The intense basic course takes place over 10 days at the beginning of June. So I know that intense basic is full for this year, but that's something to keep in mind for next year if you maybe have a really challenging schedule, or if you just have, it has strict fitness requirements, and there's always like skills nights you can go to leading up to the course, but that's also something that y'all can do if that sounds interesting. I made this really fancy chart for you to just show like wilderness first aid when it's required. Like kayaking, you need wilderness first aid, but they teach water navigation as part of the course, so you don't need to take navigation separately. And this is slightly different by branch, so just take a look at various branches. But like I said, separate courses, separate course fees. Does not matter what order you sign up. Let's say you already have some rock skills, or you just want to play in a glacier. You can take our glacier climbing course and actually climb Mount Rainier with us too via that pathway. This teaches the essential for glacier travel, including ice axe use, using ropes, crevasse rescue, Z-pulley, etc. It involves some roped and unroped movement on the snow. There's lectures and corresponding field trips, and it also requires navigation, stewardship, and first aid. This photo is from their last field trip, where you lower yourself into a crevasse and then climb back out. So if that sounds terrifying and fun, I recommend it. And then finally, I'd like to call out our sea kayaking course. We have sea kayaking and sailing, which folks don't think of in an organization called the Mountaineers, but we do offer water sports as well. And this is just it's a great option for folks who maybe don't have great knees or who just really like the peace of the water. You can, this time of year, you can see all the orcas out in the Puget Sound. So it's just a super great way to explore as well. I also like to call out our Go Hike and Beginning Hike Conditioning hiking series. These are super popular cohort-based, I like to call them couch to 5K hiking communities. And so the Go Hike is for folks who are beginner, never ever. You start off with like a couple mile, maybe a mile or two walk on flat ground, and then graduation hikes are about 8 to 10 miles with some elevation gain. Conditioning hiking series, you start off at kind of a higher level, 3 to 4 miles on flat ground, and then I know at least one of the graduation hikes is a through hike of the Enchantments, which is 17 miles and like 6,000 feet of elevation gain. So these are super popular, and this is one of the best ways to meet a huge community of folks. Yeah, Christina, please add on to that.
Yeah. So I am one of the co-creators. My good friend Liz, who is also a mountaineer, she and I co-created the Go Hike Beginning Hiking Series, and we have just launched our 4th year. There's 100 participants this year. We started with 65 on the first year. And yes, it's really designed for the beginning hiker, but we also have found that we're getting participants who are recovering from an injury, or those who are in PT, or maybe there's some older individuals that just want to get out. And so, yeah, we have anything from 4 miles nominal gain all the way up to the end of the season, a 2,000 gain in 8 miles. And so it's not a conditioning hiking series. I mean, I've done the conditioning hiking series. It's very rigorous. It can be very strenuous, but there's 2 tracks. So yeah, I just want to make sure that to differentiate that the beginning hiking series is not a conditioning series. It's more, and this is throughout, I would hope throughout all the courses in the club, but Go Hike, we very much intentionally make it body positive. Anybody and anyone who wants to be outdoors can, and we meet you where you are. So I think this is, that this particular course has really transformed lives in the past 3 years. For people who didn't think they can get outdoors. So yeah, I know that's a plug for my own course, but all these courses, conditioning hiking series, transformed my life. Like all of these courses that I have taken, like this club, us volunteers, we can talk forever, but thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you, Christina, for that clarification and just that beautiful call out. We're so grateful that you started this course. It's amazing. 100, that's amazing. Okay, so the bottom line is that we're here because we want to get you outside to experience the world. Whether you want to camp at like Shai Beach, of which I don't know if anyone's on Instagram anymore, but there's a hashtag, you did not camp there. And this photo, these people did not sleep there. This is not a good place to pitch a tent. For sure, definitely did not sleep there. But it looks nice in the photo. Maybe you want to enjoy a sunset ramen noodle scramble after a little sunset scramble. Hang out in the most beautiful places. I think this is out in Darrington area. These folks are, they do what is my very favorite word in the entire world, which is circumambulate. They're circumambulators, which means to walk around. And they circumambulate Lake Washington, because walking all the way around Lake Washington is 60 miles. So they do it in like 10-mile chunks over the summer every year. And I just really love to share the word circumambulate with everyone. So you're welcome for that. Maybe you just want to do some kayaking with your buddies. This is Lake Washington. I do think they camped here. I think this is a real campsite. Maybe you want to climb, this is Unicorn Peak in the Tatoosh Range on Mount Rainier. For folks who are interested in climbing Rainier, you generally start down here at Paradise and you slowly make your way up the Muir Snowfield to Camp Muir, where you, quote, sleep overnight, i.e. go to bed at 5 p.m. and get up at 10 p.m. and start climbing. You go up here over Disappointment Cleaver at about 13,000 feet and make your way 12,000 feet all the way up to the summit here and then all the way back down. Maybe you just want to do some forest bathing. Go do some larch hunting, larch march. I will out myself. I won't ask you all to out yourself, but I lived here for an embarrassingly long time before I knew what a larch was. I actually thought it was a bird. Larch totally sounds like a bird name. Okay. Thank you for validating me, Nat. But a larch is a deciduous conifer, aka a pine tree that loses its needles. Starting in late September, early October out here, they turn this beautiful, magnificent, like light lime green, and then they turn yellow and gold, and then the needles fall off. So everyone, please mark your calendars right now. October, Larch March, North Cascades, Leavenworth area. That's where you're going to see them.
Listen to her. It is magic. Dude, I've been where this place is. It's actually one of my very favorite Mount Stewart. I'm a Washingtonian. I grew up in Yakima. The Teanaways are just magic. The enchantments, if you're lucky dog enough to get a permit or a friend that gets a permit, but there's lots of places that you don't need a permit to get there to go day hiking. So yes, mark your calendars.
Definitely. The bottom line is that we want to get you outside, connect you with other folks who also love and cherish our outdoor spaces. So next steps for you, find an activity online that you want to get involved with. Anyone here can go for a hike tomorrow. So please do sign up for something. You can earn your first badge with our e-learning opportunities. You can look at course offerings for the upcoming years, and then any questions send to info@mountaineers.org, or you all have my email address as well. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my share here. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording too. Thanks everyone for watching. Bye.